My name is Jack Turner, and I'm about to tell you how my life collapsed with one midnight text and how I fought back against betrayal that was planned for years. This isn't just a story about a broken marriage, it's about survival, deception, and a comeback you won't believe. Stick with me until the end, because what started as heartbreak turned into a war for everything I owned. Before we dive in, take a second to subscribe and drop a comment with your city. Every message you leave gives me the push to keep sharing true-to-life stories like this one. It was 2:40 a.m. in the Persian Gulf. I had just finished a 12-hour shift on the offshore drilling station, sweat still clinging to my clothes, when my phone buzzed. The message froze me in place. "I'm leaving you. I'm moving to Silver Valley with my 25-year-old boyfriend. I've taken all the money." I wiped my greasy hands and read it again. My wife of 20 years, Dana, wasn't bluffing. A second notification hit, this time a screenshot. Our joint account now showed $158,000 reduced to nothing but 002. She added a kiss emoji as if it were a joke. I didn't throw the phone, didn't break anything. I simply sat on the bunk in our cramped crew cabin and typed back, "All right then, have at it." I shut the phone off, showered, and let the water carry the shock away. The next morning, I skipped breakfast and walked straight into the safety checks. Ryan Carter, my second in command, kept sneaking glances but never asked. 16 men were counting on us to keep this floating metal city alive. Personal disasters stayed buried. By lunch, I opened my email. Dana had already filed divorce papers claiming I'd abandoned her by working overseas too long. She had hired Nathan Sloan, a Bayfield lawyer known for squeezing money out of high earners. Her request was simple: spousal support and recognition of her new partner, now living in our house back in Brookhaven. I closed the laptop without replying. That night, instead of messaging Dana, I reached out to my cousin, Cole Matthews, a financial advisor in Bayfield. 2 words were enough. Protocol Winter. That was our code from years earlier. 5 minutes later, his reply came back. "Already on it. Don't respond to her until you're back in the States." I still had 2 weeks left on this rotation. 2 more weeks of grueling shifts in 108 degrees heat, while the life I thought I had was being stripped away piece by piece. The crew would have backed me if I asked for emergency leave, but what would that solve? I decided to finish my contract and collect my paycheck. Before I turned in, Mark Ellison, our rig supervisor, stopped at my cabin door. "Is everything steady?" he asked. He wasn't just talking about the machinery. "All steady on my end," I told him. That was more than Dana would ever know. I first met Dana 21 years ago in a small fishing supply shop in Brookhaven. She worked the register, joking with customers who thought catching bass required magic. I was 33, already 10 years into offshore work, home between contracts and helping a buddy stock inventory. She was 31, and in less than a year, 9 months later, we married. Back then, I owned my house outright from a lucky buyout and a small producer, and the rigs were paying more than triple what men in our town made in years. She claimed she admired my focus and stability. I admired her charm, the way she could win anyone over. But long distance was the bargain. 3 months on, 6 weeks off. We agreed it was worth it. By year 10, cracks started to show. She began resenting missed birthdays, questioned whether the Middle East contract was necessary, and compared me to her friends' husbands who came home for dinner every night. At 49, she stopped asking when I'd return. Video calls grew shorter. I excused it as routine replacing passion. Then, last spring, I walked into our Brookhaven home to find new furniture, new paint, every trace of my taste erased. "You needed a change," she said. I didn't ask what kind. 3 months ago, I noticed strange transfers from our account. Dana said it was house repairs, but before leaving this rotation, I drove by. The foundation looked untouched. What I did see was a dark blue BMW parked in our driveway. 6 weeks ago, she quit answering calls, only short texts about a new project. I nearly cut my contract short to confront her, but told myself to trust the woman I'd built 2 decades with. Then, just 5 days ago, our neighbor George Whitman sent me a single photo, a moving truck parked in front of my house. And I knew The truth was no longer hiding. The message from George Whitman had been short. Thought you should know. No explanation, no advice. I didn't answer. Sometimes silence is the best reply. If you wait long enough, the truth shows its face. The day after Dana's text, I dragged myself through another shift, then headed back to my cabin. That's when the satellite phone rang. Cole Matthews didn't waste time. "You better be sitting," he said. "Just tell me." His voice came heavy. Dana had been moving money for over a year, quiet transfers under her maiden name. At first, small withdrawals, 2,000 or 3,000. But in the past 3 months, the numbers jumped. By now, she'd shifted a total of $236,000. That was nearly $100,000 more than I even knew existed. Cole wasn't finished. 6 months earlier, she had switched my life insurance beneficiary to herself alone. Then she forged my name to pull a $46,000 home equity loan against the house. The hum of the rig vibrated through the walls while his words sank in. 2 decades of marriage, and she'd been dismantling it piece by piece while I worked the stations, thinking I was building a future. I asked, the only question left. "The guy?" Tyler Cross, 25, ex-personal trainer. Barely worked the past few years. 3 older women before Dana, each one left broke in under 18 months. Cole lowered his voice. "And Jack, there are charges for 2 one-way tickets to Silver Valley. They fly next Friday." She wasn't just walking away. She was vanishing, taking everything before I even stepped back on U.S. soil. That night, I sat in darkness, no lights, staring at memories that no longer fit. The phone calls Dana took outside, her sudden fitness obsession 4 years ago, the constant complaints about money, though we had plenty. What gutted me wasn't the cheating. It was the strategy. The patience it took to smile at me while building her escape. Something inside me hardened. I opened the secret email account only Cole and I knew about, logged into Winter Holdings, the shell company we'd built 8 years ago. Its name came from my grandmother and the creek that ran through her property. The balance showed $1.7 million. Money I'd been funneling there legally, 75% of my income protected from marital claims. I sent one message to my Bayfield lawyer, Eric Dawson. "Proceed with Operation Cold Return." Then I shut the laptop and went to the dining hall for coffee. For the first time in days, I felt hunger return. 42 hours after my rotation ended, I landed in Bayfield. Cole met me at the airport, pressing a burner phone and a folder into my hand. "She's been calling your regular number non-stop. The regional credit union froze the account she drained. It's routine when big sums move around. They'll only release it if you verify in person. She has no idea you're back. Only me and Eric know." As we drove, Cole opened his tablet. There's more. He showed me Dana's text exchanges with a contact saved as D. Their plans were laid out, spending my money, laughing at me were. King Miles offshore, putting down a deposit on a house in Silver Valley. One message string, 4 days ago, chilled me. "Dana, credit union froze the money. I need Jack to clear it. What now?" D. "He's stuck offshore another 10 days. Tell him it's a family emergency. Get authorization. You're still his wife." Dana. "He won't pick up." D. "Push harder. We need it before the closing next week or we use Plan B." Dana. "I don't like Plan B." D. "It's just insurance money. Dangerous job. Accidents happen every day." I handed the tablet back. My pulse was steady, but my hands were icy. "Are these admissible?" I asked. Cole nodded. "Her phone syncs to your Horizon Cloud account. She never changed the password." We went straight to Eric's office. He had a stack ready. Divorce filings, a criminal complaint for forgery, an emergency freeze on her accounts. But then he looked me dead in the eye. "There's a complication. Yesterday, Dana filed a domestic violence claim against you. Says you were emotionally abusive and controlled her finances. Claims she left out of fear." "That's nonsense," I told Eric. "I've been 6,000 miles offshore for nearly 2 months straight." He shook his head. "Doesn't matter. Her attorney is playing for sympathy. They'll argue you abandoned her, claim abuse, and push for a restraining order to lock you out of your own house while Tyler Cross enjoys it. Eric flipped through his notes. And she's already burned through that $46,000 loan. Transferred every dollar to an LLC in Tyler's name within days. I forced my breath steady. Then we counter. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy, plus those text messages about insurance. Freeze every account she touched, including the LLC. Eric slid a motion across his desk. This one dismisses her abuse claim for perjury. We've got your location data from the drilling station, passport stamps proving you never left, and call records showing nothing but routine contact. I signed fast. One condition, Eric added. She can't know you're back yet. For the court, you're still out at sea. When she's served, you need to look blindsided. I can play that role, I said. As I walked out, a text hit my regular phone. Please call me. It's an emergency. I need you. Dana's words. I ignored it. The trap wasn't hers anymore. That night I stayed at Cole's. For the first time in weeks, I slept through. By dawn, I logged into the security feed for the Brookhaven house. Dana had clearly forgotten I could still access it. On the screen, a young man sprawled beside my pool, sipping my scotch and wearing my old army jacket like it belonged to him. His feet rested on the furniture I had built with my own hands. Dana paced nervously nearby, her gestures sharp. Even without sound, I knew their plan was unraveling. Cole stepped in with coffee. You'll want to see this. He pulled up his laptop. Tyler's history unfolded. 3 women, all older, all financially secure. Each left their husbands, drained accounts, then within 18 months, Tyler vanished with the cash. Court filings, news clippings, social posts, every one of them left broke, one still paying off debt he'd racked in her name. Cole's voice dropped. And one more thing. He was questioned in a suspicious crash. His second girlfriend's ex-husband went off a cliff 6 weeks after their divorce. Drove that road 20 years without issue. Cops couldn't prove it, but Tyler's name came up. The phone rang again. Dana. Straight to voicemail. Cole hit the speaker. Jack, please. Her voice faltered, trembling like she was crying. The credit union froze everything. I was just moving funds like we planned, but they locked the account. I can't reach any money. Please call them. Tell them it's safe. I'm terrified. 2 weeks earlier, I'd have believed her. Now it was theater. She's cornered, Eric told us over lunch. Closing on. And the Silver Valley property is in 5 days. Without the funds, they're sunk. What's next? I asked. Emergency hearing this afternoon, he said. Judge Harper presides. She doesn't tolerate false abuse claims. We'll have your alibi and the frozen funds ready. But there's something else. Eric opened a folder. Inside, photos from George Whitman, my neighbor. My furniture being hauled into moving trucks. Brass photo frames that had been in my family for generations. And my father's oak chest carried out like it was theirs. They're clearing you out completely, Eric said grimly. I shut the folder. Then we changed the plan. Cole and Eric both leaned in. I want to go home. Eric frowned. That's risky before. Not to confront them, I explained to Eric and Cole. I want to watch from George Whitman's house. I need to see it with my own eyes. And when the papers are served, I want Dana looking right at me as her world collapses. Eric hesitated, then gave a slow nod. I'll make the arrangements. As we left the restaurant, a ping hit my burner phone. A message from George. They're carrying out your father's oak chest, the one you restored. Some thefts go beyond bank accounts. That chest had survived generations. Now it was being loaded into a stranger's truck. At that moment, it stopped being about money. It was personal. The drive back to Brookhaven took 6 hours. Plenty of time to sort my anger into cold resolve. Eric scheduled the serving for 8:30 a.m. the next morning. Cole arranged surveillance from George's house across the street where I'd stay the night. When I arrived after midnight, George met me with a firm handshake. 30 years on the rigs himself, no explanations needed. She doesn't know you're back? I asked. He shook his head. Not a clue. They've been at it all day, packing the valuables. The junk's staying. Tomorrow bigger trucks will come. Anyone else? A woman with a clipboard yesterday. I looked like a real estate agent. Took photos. Selling the house. That hadn't crossed my mind. I called Eric, who promised to check property filings by sunrise. At 2:40 a.m., sleeping nowhere near me, I spread out Cole's documentation across George's kitchen table. Records showing Donna's steady siphoning of our savings, logs of her calls with Tyler stretching back a year, credit card bills tied to hotel stays right in Brookhaven on nights she swore she was visiting her sister. Piece by piece, the portrait formed, not a spontaneous affair, but a calculated dismantling of 2 decades. By dawn, Eric texted me back. The house had been listed 2 days ago, forged with my name. The asking price, 25% below market value. A fire sale. At 8:30 a.m., I stood at George's window as Dana and Tyler carried out small valuables, my brass photo frames, my father's pocket compass, anything portable. Tyler tossed them into his dark blue BMW like yard sale junk. By 8:45, a moving truck rolled in for the bigger load. 10 minutes later, an unmarked car slid in behind it. 2 deputies stepped out, joined by a woman in a dark suit. It's time, I told George. We crossed the street together, but I hung back at the edge of the driveway. Dana opened the door, at first irritated, then confused, as the deputies introduced themselves. Mrs. Turner, we have documents to serve you and the gentleman inside. She faltered, calling for Tyler. He appeared, arms slung around her waist like he already owned the house. That's when I stepped into view. Her face drained, confusion, then dread, then calculation. Tyler's eyes narrowed, not yet grasping the weight of it. Jack, Dana whispered. You're supposed to be offshore. I let a thin smile show. Didn't expect me, did you? The deputies delivered the stack. Restraining order, full asset freeze, forgery complaint, blocked property listing, and divorce petition citing fraud and consp. Erasy. Tyler puffed his chest. You can't do this. She's scared of you. Judge Harper dismissed that claim this morning. I cut in. It's hard to abuse someone from 6,000 miles away, especially when you're busy texting about Plan B and my insurance payout. The blood drained from his face. Dana stepped forward, eyes welling quickly. Jack, this is all a mistake. I was only trying to protect our documents, I finished. By emptying the house, by selling it out from under me. She had nothing left to say. The court officer's voice was final. You have 30 minutes to remove personal items only, clothes and toiletries. Everything else stays under court inventory. As the deputies escorted Dana and Tyler back inside to collect only what the court allowed, I turned to leave. Where are you going? Dana called after me, her voice sharp with panic. I didn't turn. Back where I belong. 4 weeks later, I sat in a civil tribunal beside Eric Dawson. Across the aisle, Dana leaned toward Nathan Sloan, whispering frantically. Tyler was nowhere in sight. He'd vanished 2 days after being served, draining what little jewelry and cash she had left. Cole had predicted it perfectly. The judge sifted through the evidence, bank transfers, forged paperwork, texts about Plan B. When she reached the insurance discussion, she removed her glasses and stared directly at Dana. Mrs. Turner, are you aware of the penalties for conspiring to commit insurance fraud? Or worse? Nathan tried to hush her. Dana stammered. It wasn't like that, Your Honor. Tyler was only joking. I never... Save it for the criminal court. The judge cut her off. This proceeding is about assets and dissolution of marriage. She read on, shaking her head at intervals. Finally, she set the files down. In 3 decades on this bench, I've rarely seen such deliberate financial deception between spouses. You dragged us, Ned joint accounts, forged signatures, and attempted to flee the state with marital property. Then she looked at me. Mr. Turner, while some may question your use of winter holdings, this court finds you fulfilled all obligations, household expenses paid, taxes filed, no intent to hide funds from authorities. The evidence shows you created protections, not concealment. Her ruling was swift. Every transfer Dana made had to be reversed. The Brookhaven house was mine alone. Her request for spousal support, denied. And most gratifying of all, the judge referred her forgery and conspiracy to the county prosecutor's office for possible charges. As we left the courthouse, Dana tried to reach for me, eyes pleading. I didn't slow. Some victories don't require words. 8 months later, I stood on the porch of my lodge in the highlands outside Clearwater, Oregon. 40 acres of pine and meadow, part of Winter Holdings from the beginning. Donna never even knew it existed. Her case had ended in a plea deal. No prison, but 5 years probation and restitution she'd never finish paying. Last I heard, she was living with her sister in Redfield, folding clothes in a retail store. Tyler had already surfaced again, this time attached to a recently divorced doctor in Arizona. His cycle hadn't changed. I'd sold the Brookhaven house. Too many ghosts in those walls. George Whitman helped ship heirlooms north. My father's oak chest, the brass photo frames, while the rest went to donation. That afternoon's mail brought one last envelope from Cole. Final dissolution papers for Winter Holdings. Its purpose complete, its name retired. I leaned back on the rocking chair I'd built myself, a glass of scotch warming in my hand. For the first time in years, no crews awaited orders, no wife pretended to miss me, only the wind in the pines. The phone buzzed, an offer from a Canadian oil company, consultant, high pay, little travel. I'll think about it, I told them, and I would. But not tonight. Tonight was mine. Hard-won peace on land no one could ever steal again.